What's up, guys? It's me, Federico, and this might be the most important video on this channel. Normally, I talk about basketball here, but today, I need to talk about some extremely important topics, and I have to do it in a very precise and effective way without mentioning or making explicit references to people or organizations to avoid legal consequences. And to avoid any further legal backlash, this video uses a voice generated by an AI system, so it doesn't belong to any human being. There won't be any images besides the channel logo, which I own, and there won't be any background music. The reasons why I'm doing all of this are very simple. Lately, I've been forced to deal with injustices, threats, and financial damage, all because I've always acted within my rights and within the law, and because I legitimately tried to highlight the positive sides of a product like basketball. Let me explain better. You see the low view count on this video, right? Yeah, that's because for several months now, I've been shadow banned by the red platform that I can't name. For those who don't know, a shadow ban is a shady moderation practice that reduces an account's visibility without warning you and without giving any explanation. But the reason this happened to me is pretty easy to figure out. An international organization, which I'm not allowed to name, that manages some major competitions in this sport, sent me a copyright strike after a video I made this summer. Now, anyone who creates content like I do knows exactly the legal boundaries we operate in, especially a federal law called the Copyright Act, specifically Section 107, which says, notwithstanding the provisions of Sections 106 and 106A, the fair use of a copyrighted work for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research is not an infringement of copyright. You don't need to be a lawyer to understand that my videos are 100% transformative and educational. They include my commentary, my interpretations, my analysis. Even the clips aren't reproduced as they are. They're frozen, drawn over. In short, what I do is in no way a reproduction of the content I use as a base, nor is it even remotely a copyright violation. Despite that, it wasn't rare for the revenue from my videos, scripted by me, edited by me, with my ideas, my interpretations, my hours of work, my effort, to be straight up stolen from me. And I'm using the word stolen because the illegal taking of money that happened is literally called robbery. I tried in every way possible to assert my rights, but neither of the other two parties involved had any reason to enforce the law since I was the one being harmed. So I had to silently endure an abuse. But what happened in my most recent case goes beyond just demonetization. A copyright strike also means a 3-month shadow ban, not exactly a small thing, especially for someone who works with this. And the strike itself, which is basically a warning telling you that if you get 2 more of these, besides everything I already mentioned, they'll permanently delete your channel. Isn't there a way to fight this, you may ask? Yes, a counter notification. But if it gets rejected, it becomes an international lawsuit, in my case against a gigantic entity with the best lawyers in the world. So the alternatives are basically 2. Either you accept the injustice or you let them drain you of the huge amount of money an international court case would cost. And that's insane. A platform that mediated honestly and legally could avoid all of this. But instead, the platform acts based on its own convenience, even at the cost of doing illegal things, exactly like the mafia. I wish I could tell you the problems ended there, but shortly after, another non-American league, which many of you probably know, sent me another copyright strike just a few weeks later. So now I'm shadow banned again, one single warning away from my channel being permanently shut down, receiving legal threats from massive organizations, and forced to remove or set to private several recent videos I spent time, effort, and knowledge creating, all because I acted legally and because my content has always promoted the positive aspects of the products these organizations broadcast in a way that is, let me repeat, absolutely legitimate. At that point, I decided to do everything in my power to try to get out of this grotesque situation. I wrote several emails to the organizations involved. No response. So I moved to the next step, contacting the support email of the platform. First, they clumsily denied that my issue even existed, and then realizing how illogical and ridiculous that was, they acknowledged the issue and immediately forwarded it to another department. I wrote to that department, which according to their own words handles these problems, and they sent me to yet another department, dumping the responsibility once again. When I asked how I could contact this final department, I was told it's impossible, since it's an internal department. What I was basically told is this: there is a department that can take forced actions, make mistakes, act without ever being accountable for what it does, and therefore operate with total impunity and without any possibility of challenge. A mechanism with zero logic, zero justice, and zero protection for the creators who make the platform function. But I didn't give up. I contacted the real-time assistance service available to creators partnered with the platform. There, I found an operator whose name I won't mention even though I'd have every reason to, wasn't just unable to help me or understand the meaning of simple sentences, which is literally his job, but also allowed himself to accuse me of certain things that, out of respect for his privacy, I won't repeat, even though I stayed polite and professional the entire time. I still made another attempt. I posted a community thread on the support forum of the company that owns the platform, hoping some user or assistant could help. The post was deleted shortly after. When I asked why, I got no answer from anyone. But I haven't even told you the most absurd and almost funny, if it weren't for the money, time, and energy I lost, detail about this entire affair. The last video that got a copyright strike was flagged and removed for allegedly reproducing, and I'm quoting literally, an artistic work. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. There is no misunderstanding about the meaning of art. My video was labeled as a copy of an artistic product, and the strike even used a painting as the icon. And this isn't something you can just overlook. Someone had to intentionally select that category, and the platform reviewing the claim has or should have the duty to review it, and if it's incorrect, to reject it. But do you want another plot twist? Here it is. As the original video I supposedly copied, the system lists my own video. Confused? I hope so. It'd be weird if you weren't. Let me put it in one sentence. As absurd and illogical as it sounds, according to the person who sent the claim and the platform that approved and enforced it, I supposedly copied an artistic work made by myself. We're dealing with a tyrannical, corrupt, diseased system that serves the interests of the powerful, even if it means breaking the law. A system that abuses its power to silence people who are in the right and crushes any form of legitimate expression. This is called censorship, and being censored in 2025 gives me chills. It brings dangerous echoes from the past, even if in different contexts. It might sound like an extreme comparison, but if you look at the consequences of these policies, the parallels with the past keep showing up. There's only a small circle of channels, the ones working with the organizations mentioned, who are allowed to produce information in my field but also beyond, while everyone else gets censored. Just like back then, when only certain newspapers tied to a specific political orientation were allowed to publish while the others were shut down. The result is simple. Information becomes partial, manipulated, eventually wrong. And that's exactly what's happening in my field. The amount of misinformation about the topics I cover is not just huge, it's openly encouraged by the system and by the bigger organizations deciding what reaches the audience and what doesn't. It may sound like a conspiracy theory, and I wish it were, but with all the facts and evidence I've given in this video, how could anyone think otherwise? Unfortunately, it's the only explanation that makes sense to me. So how can we fight this mechanism? First of all, by thinking critically, even when it's uncomfortable, demanding, or scary, especially because of the conclusions you may reach. Thinking is the main weapon we have. And then by adapting, even knowing that in an ideal world, things would have gone differently. This affects me directly because I had to remove some recent videos to avoid more strikes and the permanent deletion of the channel, and because I couldn't upload anything else, and until mid-January, I can only make videos like this one. Imagine that, not being able to work or get paid for 6 months simply for doing things that are undeniably legal and right. The damage they caused to me and to this channel, which was growing fast, is immeasurable. But I'll need to take countermeasures in the future too. That's why I'll be forced to significantly limit the use of still legal footage from third-party content, and I'll have to focus more on general topics. This channel will keep going. I'll keep publishing as long as I'm allowed to, and starting mid-January, I'll find a way to make my projects work like I always have.
And what about game breakdowns? I actually have some exciting news. To avoid strikes and the illegal appropriation of my revenue, I'll be moving all game breakdowns, coaches' style analysis, and everything involving video clips to my Patreon, linked in the description. To access these, you only need the first tier. With the second tier, on top of everything in the first, you'll get access to deep scouting reports full of clips and stats on the most interesting basketball prospects around the world, plus the official Eurostep podcast episodes uploaded weekly with extra episodes if urgent topics come up. Also, during the time I couldn't upload on this platform, I worked day and night on a basketball improvement course suitable for all levels. It includes 20 tips, explained with the help of videos, and summarized in a PDF you'll unlock when you purchase the course, along with access to the community's exclusive Telegram group and the glossary of the main advanced basketball stats. Again, the link is in the description. Everything I've done aligns with what I want, to carry this project forward and give you as much high-quality content and information as possible. I hope you understand my decisions, and if you can, support them. I have huge ambitions and an insane drive to produce high-quality content, and everything that happened only motivated me even more to expand and speed up my work. I'm hyped for the future, and I hope you are too. Given the circumstances, I really recommend following me on Instagram, link in the description, both in case this channel gets banned unexpectedly and because I communicate more over there. Also, turn on notifications for my videos here on YouTube, because the shadow ban is ongoing and will continue for quite some time, so my videos won't show up in your feed. If you want, you can also share your thoughts in the comments. I'd really appreciate some feedback about Patreon and the course from those who purchase them. I know interaction will be low because of the shadow ban, but it's actually even more important right now. With that said, thank you so much, especially those of you who are watching this video despite all the platform's limitations. That means you're the core of this community, and you've stayed here supporting me through everything. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.